Morocco. What else do we know about this country other than tangerines? Many people notice this beautiful word because of the recent World Cup in Qatar. Let the daring Moroccans, who became the first African team to reach the semifinals and lost to the reigning world champions from France. There was no shortage of intrigue. The relationships between the countries added spice and rivalry. Morocco was a North African colony of France, and since then, the people of this country have had a rather negative attitude toward the tricolors. But more on that later, because that's not the only intrigue of the mysterious pearl of the Maghreb. A country washed by the Atlantic Ocean in the west, the Mediterranean Sea in the north, crossed by the Atlas Mountains, and where in the far south you can touch the sands of the Sahara, holds many wonders. In the homeland of the tastiest tangerines, snow in the foothill regions during winter doesn't surprise anyone. The locals make snowmen just as well as we do. And in the northwest of the country, 75 kilometers from the scorching Marrakesh, there is even the Ukaimeden ski resort, where you can go down the snowy slopes not only on skis, but also on sleds or snowboards. Farther north, whole cities are blanketed in snow. Because of the snow-dusted roofs and its distinctive architectural style, during the winter season, the Moroccan city of Ifrane looks just like a Swiss mountain town. At the same time, Morocco is modern. Poor and backward, Africa is not about it. Morocco has excellent roads, including a constantly expanding network of toll highways. Banks and mobile service centers actively use electronic queue systems. Utility bills are automatically generated from meter readings and sent to addresses, eliminating calculations and paperwork for residents. There are good European-level salaries and reasonable prices here. Due to the lack of gas and oil deposits, the government is actively working on developing alternative energy sources. Look at this solar energy concentrator in the Sahara. This high-tech structure, made up of 500,000 12-meter mirrors, is so large that it's visible even from space, and is the largest solar power plant in the world. It supplies up to half of the country's electricity needs. Although Morocco is considered an Arab country, according to various sources, about 60% of the Moroccan population are Berbers. It is believed that Berber writing existed more than 2,000 years ago, so it's not surprising that, according to the Berber calendar, the year outside their window is now 2967. Although the kingdom itself officially follows the calendar used by the rest of the world, in Morocco, the Berber language is official alongside Arabic. Berbers are a very diverse ethnic group. The Rifian, Tamazight, and Shilha people, each with their unique culture and language, are found only in Morocco. There are many tribes in the Sahara Desert, but the proud Tuareg are the most well-known. A stern rider, wrapped in a veil up to his eyes, sitting on a camel or a horse, is a symbol of the great land of sands. They have light skin, and there is very little blood of the Negroid race in their veins. How the Tuaregs came to the Sahara remains unanswered by official science. Nevertheless, it is well known that the Tuaregs are a people belonging to the Berber group. And this very word comes from the Greek barber, or the Latin barbary. Where there's a Berber, there's a barbarian. And where there's a barbarian, there's the white race. There's no real secret here. But what's interesting is that they don't call themselves that. According to linguists' research, the self-designation of the Berbers may come from the word red. And indeed, among them there are many red-haired, fair-skinned people with blue or light brown eyes. For example, Miss Algeria, 2013, the wife of King Mohammed of Jordan, and the world-famous and beloved French singer Edith Piaf. She is a Berber on her mother's side. Or, for example, the well-known, to many fans, Zinedine Zidane. Also, there is a lot of red color in the traditional clothing of the Berbers. The fact that the Amazigh tribes are of the Caucasoid type is also confirmed by numerous genetic studies, which have identified the so-called Berber marker, haplogroup E1b1b, which is found not only in East, North, and South Africa, but also in Europe and Western Asia. However, politically correct scholars are hesitant to directly classify the Berbers as part of the white race. They call them white Arabs. Unfortunately, no Berber sources about their own history and culture have survived, which in general is not surprising, Considering the number of conquerors who swept over this ancient people in waves, modern history has not passed them by either. For example, after Libya was occupied by NATO forces, almost all museums and museum valuables in Libya were looted and destroyed. The ancient cities of Libya, Sabratha and Leptis Magna, were barbarically bombed. Unique mosaics with ancient symbols, which the sands of Libya had preserved for hundreds of years, were irretrievably destroyed. The same thing happened in Yugoslavia and Iraq. And in Libya, they even managed to steal an ancient rock painting. They soaked a canvas with a special chemical compound, pressed it against the images, and the images would stick to it. And these are traditional Berber tattoos on women's faces. The population of Morocco consists of two ethnic groups in equal proportions, Berbers and Arabs. Look at these patterns. The symbols are very similar to what craftswomen depicted on Slavic towels. Since ancient times, Berber women have decorated their faces with sacred geometric symbols. It was believed that these signs protected women from evil spirits, as the Berbers were pagans before the arrival of Islam. Also, facial tattoos were considered a sign of beauty. The more tattoos a woman had, the more beautiful she was. That's why tattoos were done young, typically at 12 or 13. When the Arabs arrived in North Africa and established their rule, facial tattoos were banned as they violated Islamic rules and were seen as sinful. But recently, the cult of Berber tattoos has gained new strength in a softer form of temporary makeup. Here is also the world's oldest university. Since 859, Fez has had a university founded by Fatima, a Tunisian merchant's daughter. This oldest higher education institution in the world bears her family's name, Al-Qarawiyyin. Diplomas in the traditional European sense have only been issued here since 1947. Within Al-Qarawiyyin's walls, renowned scholars like Ibn Khaldun, Maimonides, Ali Idrisi, and Leo Africanus studied at various times. It is believed that Pope Sylvester II studied mathematics here. And argan oil is also produced here, or liquid gold, as it is often called. It is made from the seeds of the prickly argan tree, exclusively in Morocco, but it has already gained admirers all over the world. Today, even major cosmetic brands have launched special hair and skincare lines based on argan oil, and its popularity is not surprising. In terms of its properties and even its production technology, which is still not automated, it is truly unique. To obtain 1 liter of argan oil, about 50 kilograms of fruit from approximately 7 trees must be processed. First, the harvested argan fruits are dried in the sun. Then they are cleaned of fibers, after which the shells are cracked open with a stone. The seeds of the argan fruit are extracted from the pits, and it is from these seeds that argan oil is obtained using a mechanical press. Just the process of extracting the kernels from the argan fruit pits requires about 12 hours of hard physical labor. Besides cosmetics, argan oil is also used in food. Ground almond paste with added argan oil is served during tea time in Morocco. Maghreb palaces, majestic mosques, and the intricate labyrinths of ancient cities are truly impressive. The bazaars are full of bright colors and authentic curiosities, but here it's less aggressive, quieter, and more civilized than other Arab countries. The East, colorful, charming, and slightly more refined. It's no coincidence that Hollywood studios choose Morocco as a filming location for movies and television series set in Middle Eastern countries or even on other planets. Starting with the legendary 1960s film Lawrence of Arabia, hundreds of movies come to life here every year. And the Atlas Film Studio, established in 1983 on the outskirts of the city of Ouarzazate and covering 20 hectares, is currently the largest in the world. It was here that films like Gladiator, Alexander, Asterix and Obelix, Mission Cleopatra, 007 Spectre, and even the 3rd season of the cult series Game of Thrones were filmed. Since the time of French colonization, the charming city architecture has been preserved, and to their credit, Moroccans skillfully maintain this style. Morocco was a French colony for 50 years, and now the largest community of Moroccans outside Morocco lives there. According to various sources, there are up to 2 million people with Moroccan roots. The 2019 French census showed that they make up 20% of all immigrants in the country. Demographics affect football too. At the 2018 World Cup, there were 10 players on the Moroccan national team who were born in France. In 2022, there are 2 such players, but 5 players currently belong to French clubs. Where did Moroccans in France come from, and are they happy about this connection? Maybe during the riots in Paris, Moroccans remember not only football, but something else as well. 7 countries claimed territories in Africa, but France turned out to be the most successful. In 1830, it seized Algeria, in 1881, Tunisia, and by World War I controlled territory from the Mediterranean to Angola. Among the most desirable pieces was Morocco. However, it took some effort to acquire it. First, France negotiated special rights over Morocco with its neighboring powers. They confirmed these rights in exchange for favors from the French. They acknowledged English rights to Egypt, Italian rights to Tripolitania in Libya, and Spanish rights to cities on Morocco's northern coast. Then France lured Morocco into financial bondage, granting loans to the local sultan at exorbitant interest rates, and later, under 60% of customs revenues, which made up a huge part of the budget. The country was increasingly coming under French influence. In 1905, they even landed in Morocco to establish their own bank, organize port police, and obtain a concession to build a railroad. This was all to control local financial flows. The Europeans acted strategically but ignored Germany's interests, lacking an agreement with them. The Germans, unsettled by their neighbors' actions, chose to escalate. Kaiser Wilhelm II backed the Sultan of Morocco and suggested a defensive alliance. Europe neared war over Africa's division, making a new international conference necessary. At the conference, Germany was isolated, while France and Spain retained the right to collect tribute from Moroccan ports. The agreement also ensured the country's integrity and full equality for all nations in economic activities. The seizure of Morocco was postponed until better times. The time came a year later, in 1907 in Marrakesh. An enraged crowd killed the French doctor Émile Mouchon. Parisian newspapers called the murder unprovoked, and as an unjustified attack by the barbaric natives of Morocco, and the authorities got a convenient pretext for invasion. French troops entered Ouda in the northeast of Morocco. A few months later, the Moroccans, even more dissatisfied with the actions of the colonizers, killed 9 French workers who were building the railroad. The Europeans responded by bombing Casablanca. Ships shelled the city for 2 days. Between 1,500 and 7,000 civilians were killed. After the pacification, French troops entered Casablanca and the surrounding region. A significant part of Morocco remained independent, but France tightened its economic noose even further. For example, they forced the new sultan to accept another loan. To repay it, he imposed taxes on the tribes. In 1911, they started an uprising in Fez, and France was just waiting for this. Under the pretext of restoring order and protecting French citizens, the tricolor troops occupied Fez and several other cities. Germany didn't like this new activity again, and Berlin responded with a threat by sending a warship to the African coast. But the Second Moroccan Crisis was promptly resolved by Britain. France's eternal rival unexpectedly took their side. The Germans retreated and recognized France's protectorate over Morocco. In return, they received a part of the territory. At the same time, French troops stopped operating in Canada. France made Morocco a protectorate in March 1912. The country officially kept its independence, with the Sultan still the official ruler. Spain received territories in the north and south. Part of the territory in the north and south went to Spain. At the same time, the Sultan issued decrees in his own name. The metropolis did not interfere in judicial matters, and many influential positions were given to Moroccans. Respect traditions, keep customs unchanged, and remember that every society has a ruling class essential for order. We attract the ruling class to serve us. This way, the country will be conquered at much lower cost than if we sent military missions there, explained the first head of the protectorate, Hubert Leoty, as he described colonial logic. France was influenced by Morocco's long history outside Ottoman rule and the local elites' willingness to negotiate. They viewed the French as a chance for economic growth, not as conquerors. They really did invest in building railroads, developing cities, and exploring mineral deposits. But of course, they took more out of the country than they put in. Almost all the land and wealth of Morocco passed into French hands. The General Company of Morocco controlled the enterprises and became the master of the country. The colonizers were especially active in the extraction of phosphorites. The establishment of the protectorate did not mean the conquest of all of Morocco. In 1912, France mainly controlled the coastal zone and only gradually advanced deeper into the country. The advance was difficult. The tribes declared war on the French and Spanish invaders, and uprisings and battles periodically broke out in different places. One of the largest battles in the tribe's struggle for independence took place in 1914, near the settlement of El Khari. The battle is often called the most severe defeat France has ever suffered in its military history. Despite having cannons and modern rifles, the French lost 60% of their forces with over 600 killed and more than 170 wounded. The less equipped Berber tribes suffered losses of about 200 people. In 1921, the Spaniards suffered a humiliating defeat at the hands of the Rif tribe. In the Battle of Annual, they lost between 10,000 and 20,000 men wounded and killed. The enemy lost about 1,000 people. The defeat led to a revision of colonial policy and a political crisis in Madrid. The Rif people turned out to be the most successful in fighting against the Europeans. In 1921, they even declared the creation of the Rif Republic, and their resistance lasted for 5 years in total. A long time, given the technology the French used: tanks, armored cars, planes, and brutality. The official French combat manual stated that all repressions must be carried out immediately and harshly. One should not hesitate to burn villages and crops. Experience shows generosity is seen as weakness and prompts Moroccans to launch more attacks. Repressions went beyond limiting freedoms and killings. During World War I, the French forcibly conscripted Moroccans to participate in the war. Various sources report that 15,000 Arabs from Morocco died. In 1930, under French orders, the Sultan decreed Morocco's population be divided into Berbers and Arabs. Distinct laws and restrictions were created for each group. The colonizers intended the decree to divide and suppress Moroccan society, but instead, it led to unity and a rise in nationalism. Unrest spread across the country again. Activists formed underground groups, and one of them, the Moroccan Action Committee, even emerged from hiding. I publicly suggested a reform plan. The reforms did not happen, but gradually, more and more opposition movements began to emerge in the country. And in 1943, the Independence Party was even officially formed. The nationalists were inspired by the support of Franklin Roosevelt. At the Casablanca Conference, the President of the United States stated that after the end of World War, the second Morocco should gain independence. However, when the party put these ideas into a manifesto and sent it to the governments of France, the United Kingdom, and the United States, the French arrested its leadership and suppressed the ensuing unrest. But the process could not be stopped. Moroccans killed, set off explosions, and caused riots, protesting against the French. In 1952, French intelligence eliminated Morocco's ally, the Tunisian trade unionist Farhat Hached. Casablanca was once again engulfed in riots. In suppressing them, Europeans killed about 100 people. The French deposed the king, but the protests only intensified, and in 1956, Morocco finally gained independence. Now, the countries are major trading partners. 60 years after France was expelled, Morocco is still closely connected to that country. 35% of Moroccans speak French, which is more than in Algeria. Some Moroccan schools teach in French, with Arabic as a second language. France is the main destination for Moroccan students. Every second student studying abroad goes there. France is the main creditor, investor, and trading partner of Morocco. Nearly 100 French companies operate there, employing about 80,000 people. Despite a harsh history, nowadays citizens in their own country are quite law-abiding and, in their own way, friendly. For the most part, they don't care about much besides soccer and making a living however they can. And even that is quite relative. Did a random passerby ask you for some change, or did he leave empty-handed? Without any further demands, he'll go on his way to his urgent business. Everyone knows what the Moroccan does. Prays, drinks mint tea, and scratches his belly and other parts. Absolute composure, boundless calm, a life without worries. In any unclear situation, the magic code works. Inshallah, a local, much more effective version of our maybe. There are traits that might seem very familiar to some people. For example, a certain everyday carelessness. Despite criticism, the Tigrum people still feel deep pride for their homeland. They have unwavering faith in Baron, confident he will resolve everything and judge fairly. That's Morocco, the pearl of the Maghreb, a country with a complex history, great climate, and oriental charm. Write what surprised you the most about it, and check out other countries from our series by clicking right here. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next episodes on our channel.